Hey everybody, thanks for jumping on the channel and checking out my 5th video. This one's a simple one. This one's in my wheelhouse. Home improvement projects are a walk in the park for me. This one's repainting and recoating my garage floor. So this one was exciting and easy for me to do. So without further ado, let's get to it and walk through the process. I've tried to do the video in a step process to get along so that you can see how to do it in basically 4 easy steps. I tried to make the video as short as possible so you don't see me painting and all of that. I just tried to walk through what you need to do, assuming that you will know how to roll paint on and what have you, and get to that. As you guys know, I like to bring shirts to each one of my videos. So this one's on myositis awareness. We just are getting through myositis awareness month. So I'm bringing attention to that. More specifically for my family, my wife suffers from polymyositis with interstitial lung disease. There's many myositis that's out there. They affect anything from rheumatoid arthritis, but it's inflammation in your muscles. And it can affect anything from different organs, but more specifically in our case, it can affect your lungs, and which is a dangerous situation with COVID going around that targets your lungs as well. And being this is an autoimmune disease, and COVID impacts autoimmune disease individuals even more. This brings this situation into more of a dangerous scenario. So we have to take special precautions because of her. So the reason why I wanted to bring awareness to that is that sometimes when you see people out in a grocery store that are still wearing a mask, or airplanes or what have you, and they're trying to separate, we may be one of those people that are not suffering from it ourselves, but we're trying to protect people at home, our loved ones. Like, for example, in my case, I'm trying to protect my wife and protect my son and myself from going through any kind of horrible outcomes that could come from bringing COVID home, and anything, any kind of sickness that could help expedite this disease. So please do the right thing, and let's just try to protect each other and do the right thing and help each other, because we're on this planet for a very short time. Let's just help each other out. And that's all I can really say. And that's the whole reason I really started this channel, is because I'm trying to give people like myself that I don't do this for any other reason, to give that guy or gal out there that wants to do some extra things and just needs to, hey, if Lyle can do it, anybody can do it. Because my job takes very good care of my family, and I'm just doing this for fun. And my son enjoys doing it and has pushed me to do this as well. So again, let's just take care of each other. That's enough of the sentimental. Let's get to painting some floor. Okay, so what I've done is I've gotten everything off the floor, and now I've got to put down the Rustoleum cleaner and pressure wash the floor to get all these stains up, to get it ready for the cleaner and the repair surface and the re-primer. Okay, so I've got the Rustoleum cleaner and degreaser on the ground. Mine wasn't that bad, so I did the 1-to-1 mixture on the back. As you can see, a 1-to-1 gallon. I just used a 5-gallon bucket, so I had bought 2 of these. And on the back, it says to let it soak into the surface for 20 minutes. Longer soak times if necessary for worse stains. And then work it in with a bristle broom. So I've done both of those. And I'm going to take one extra step, and I've got a attachment for my power washer. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to power wash it. Okay, I've got it all pressure washed. and cleaned up and ready to go. So we'll leave this for 24 hours and let it dry. The biggest part was getting the places where the paint was coming up. That's what these gray spots are that you see, pressure washing those up. And then I had these things. These are great. You can get them on Amazon, but they tell you where to stop when you pull in. But they use double-sided tape to stick down, and you can see that was a bear to get that tape off. I had to sit with a pressure washer and just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally just getting it all up. All done. So just like I said, I gotta patch up these spots. And then a crack. And that should be good. All right, so now that I've let it dry for 24 hours, I'm gonna vacuum it with my old Dyson that I had. I'm gonna use a household because I wanna make sure I get all the dust particles up in little nook and crannies like in this area and in the cracks. It's just easier to do than a shop vac. And then I'm gonna patch cracks, like that crack, with the suggested Rustoleum concrete and patch repair. Now there's an updated, I guess it's updated version of this, but my Home Depot didn't have it. So this says it's good with epoxy shields. So I'm gonna use this. Okay. So let's open the box. Part A. And part B. So, just to get a putty knife, I gotta put my knife, and it says prepare the surface, sound and clean, and apologize for the echo, which I did. I finished the vacuuming, I finished the pressure washing, the degreasing, all of that stuff. So now I'm ready to do the cracks. It says, do not thin, use a clean putty knife to mix the enclosed components together at a 2-to-1 ratio. Mix 2 parts of B with 1 part of A. Ooh. Okay, so what I did is I used 2 different things to dip them out, and I'm kind of guesstimating. The white kind of went out a little thinner, must be lighter in content, and then I'll just mix it up kind of like Bondo. Not that I've ever done Bondo, but we've all seen the TV programs. To only mix enough to use in 20 or 30 minutes. So I'll use that very quickly. So here we are. Crack. Oh, I ain't got some rubber gloves, so I suggest to do that. And I'm just gonna push it in almost like drywall, I would assume. And then just drag it across. And so I'll do that across all the crack. It says first and second coat, so I don't know if I'll need it or not. So, who knows? Okay, what I've done is I've put the first coat, hopefully the last, because this stuff is nasty. Wear rubber gloves for sure. Reminds me a lot of drywall mud, and that's not something I'm very good at. But here I had a big mess what had happened here, just as a FYI, my batteries in my golf cart where I had lead acid, if you look at my very first video, had leaked through and ate away at some of the concrete. So I just did a lot of filler there just to make it smooth. And then I just smoothed over the crack, and then various other chips and imperfections in the concrete that I saw while I was on the ground that you really can't see from this height. So let's see how it turns out. Okay, what I've done is I let it dry for about 7 hours and sanded it, and went online because there wasn't much on information on the Rustoleum site about how to sand it, and people were talking about using like concrete blade type of stuff, so that didn't make sense to me for an epoxy. What made sense to me was more along the lines of like a wood sandpaper, so I used what I use on my furniture, which is Diablo sandpaper. I use the 100 grit Diablo on my orbital sander, 5-inch. And I went and sanded it all down. And you can't tell by the pictures, but it is as smooth as a baby's butt. So that's what I would suggest if you have cracks. And then over here, where you can kind of see a shadow of it with the picture, but in real life, it's not as transparent as it looks in the picture. Where the battery acid had ate away at the cement, it filled in beautifully. So that stuff works like wonders. So I'll vacuum it again now before I put on the primer. Okay, now that I've vacuumed up for the final time, I'm going to put on the Rustoleum Recoat Primer so that I don't have to put the edging coat or have to rent a grinder, being that my floor's already got a coating on it already. And it says that I need to first edge with a brush, and then go with a 3-inch, a good roller, so don't use a garbage roller, it says. So I've got my normal 3/8 nap roller that I use for walls to do that. And then it says that I need to give the can to remind me, give a minimum of 6 hours drying time, but no more than 48 before I put on my top coat. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut everything in. It's at night now, and I don't have any chance of rain in the next 24 hours. But what I did is I lowered my garage door and clamped it just a little bit above the ground for security reasons, obviously, and cut it in. I'm not too worried about the trim. I'll paint, because I've got some painting to do on that side. I've already started on this side, as you can tell the blatant difference. So I will cut in the rest, and then gotta let it dry for 24 hours. This is 8, so I'll get back at it tomorrow, put the final coat on it, and go from there. Goes without saying, it'll make it easier if you do get a hole for your roller. All right, folks, I just wanted to show you. Remember, it looked like this before, and that's with the prime. Incredible. Obviously, the roller marks will blend in. Okay, now time All right, now it's time for the final step of putting the epoxy on. I have my epoxy kit. Okay, so the 3 easy step preparation is clean and decrease, check. Etch, I don't have to because I've done the priming. So I left the etching in there, and I'm gonna go with the smaller decorative chips. It's just personal preference, but in case you're curious, the larger ones are what comes in the box. And need part A and B of the pouches for a few seconds. Roll the B side of the patch towards the A side and burst the 2 components. Mix the components by shaking the pouch back and forth for a few minutes and pour into a tray and apply the coating in 4x4 sections. Easy enough, so let's try that and see. Okay, so all you have to do is take part A of the bag, which you see me there rolling up, and it'll break the seam in between part A and part B of the bag. And then just squash the 2 sides together and then swoosh them together and shake the bag together. And you'll see me just take the bag left, right, left, right, left, right. And I'm gonna shake the bag, and that will combine the epoxy into one. I did that for a few minutes like the instructions said to do. Let it sit for a little bit, and then poured it into my painter's tray and went to painting. One thing to note, I don't know if my garage, being that it had the primer on it, was able to take less epoxy than most 2-car garages, but I was able to get complete coverage in my 2-car garage with that one bag. Seems strange because the kit is for a 2.5-car garage. Now, just for comparison's sake, off the top of my head, I don't know the dimensions, but I am able to fit a full-size 1500 Sierra truck and a car in the garage with toolboxes and everything. With no problem at all. So I know it's not because I've got a smaller garage. And again, that one bag right there got complete coverage. This is a small example of painting area. I suggest you try to keep your areas to a 4x4 section. It helps you keep control of your paint lines. It helps you keep control of your chip throwing area. And it also helps you keep control of your overlaps of the chip throwing. What will happen is if you start doing too big of an area, you'll start throwing chips in an area where you've already thrown chips, and you'll have to repaint that area, and it'll be a waste of the chips, and you'll get towards the end and be afraid you might run out of chips, and or you'll use more chips than you need. It just keeps better control of the area that you need to do. So just paint in little 4x4 sections. Well, here's the tricky part, throwing the chips. There really is no science to this. There's no way to get them perfect. And part of the reason why I went with the smaller chips, I felt like with the smaller chips, I didn't have to be so precise with throwing them because there was more forgiveness with the smaller chips. I felt like the smaller chips would hide more of the imperfections in my floor, and with the paint, I felt like the smaller chips would be more forgiving with wind gust if I had such a challenge to overcome with the doors being open, because I was trying to control humidity and things like that. So it's all in what you want and what you want to do, but I would suggest the path of least resistance, and to me the small chips were that. Well, we're all finished. I finished it off with putting some quarter round down to kind of transition where the floor meets. Trying to keep everything off the floor. As you can see, yeah, I'm kind of angled. I got all my yard stuff hung in a corner. I think it turned out great. Now, I did all of this for approximately $500. I'll add it all up and put it down in the comments below, but when I started doing research on the floor and what have you, I'm guessing Facebook recognized it in my cookies, and I started seeing companies out there that do this professionally, so I reached out to them and got them to do some quotes. One came out and did a quote, and the guy was kind of arrogant, but just to do this 2-car garage, this isn't a very big garage. Granted, I can fit my truck and car in here and or golf cart. When we do have a hurricane, I can get both the car and the truck in here. Cannot get all 3 in here. But beside the point, he quoted $4,000 to do this garage. So 500 versus 4,000. You be the judge. But it came out great. You know, over here, I patched where the battery acid ate away at the concrete. That was over in this area here. Then there was a crack right in there. Patched that. Everything else came out good. Well, folks, that's it. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that it was easy to follow along and that you got some good pointers out of it. The number one thing that I wanted you to get out of this video and any of my videos is that you get the courage to try a project at home. A lot of the things that we do around our house, all it takes is a little courage to do it. A little motivation and courage. It's just like anything in life. It's all it takes is just a little bit of courage to do it. So take that leap of faith. While you're at it, take the leap and go over to Wookie Bear Fun Facts of the Day. That's my son's channel. I would really like to get him some support to show that what he's doing, he loves history, and spread his channel around so that he can get some excitement. I really would appreciate that more than anything else. So he's got some good content. But leave your comments below. Let me know what you think, and appreciate it. Have a great day, and please be safe out there, and remember, let's take care of each other and be the best that you can be. Thanks.